PFIC, it stands for Progressive Familial Intrahepatic Cholestasis. It's a cholestatic liver disease, and the cholestasis part just means that there's some sort of impairment in bile flow in the liver. Cedar was diagnosed when she was 5 months old. We were traveling, visiting family up in Wisconsin. She was being treated for an ear infection, so she was on a course of antibiotics. She had some bruising, and at first we just thought, well, we don't know why she's bruising. She might have hit herself. She's a baby. And then one morning she woke up about 5 days later and her shoulder was swollen. And it was weird enough for us to take her to the emergency room just to get her checked out. When we did that, they drew blood work and they did a full workup, and it came back that she was in full-blown liver failure. And that was completely out of the blue for us. We had no idea that she was even sick. They ended up sending us to Cincinnati Children's, which is where she's now been treated for her liver disease. They did a liver biopsy, which came back a month later and confirmed her diagnosis of PFIC. And that day, they started talking to us about, well, she'll be on medicine, she'll end up itching, she's going to have surgery, she'll probably need a liver transplant at some point. And it's so overwhelming. You just hear all these things, and it's not like, okay, here's your diagnosis and here's your cure. It's, here's your diagnosis and here's what she's going to deal with for the rest of her life. And it's really hard to take in the weight of that at that moment. So we left and we cried. And she had started itching at that point. So, we're taking in this diagnosis and we have this itchy baby who's crying and scratching and bleeding. It's just extremely overwhelming. And you want answers, but they're really hard to find.
The treatment options for PFIC are very limited. Most of it is ensuring good nutrition, providing them with a nutrition which allows to circumvent the impaired bile acid excretion. And then finally, there are surgical options to diminish the bile pool size. That's a partial external biliary diversion, which is a surgery in which a part of the bile is drained in an ostomy bag, which of course is quite a drastic type of intervention. And then ultimately, for a significant number of patients, only liver transplantation is a curative therapy, which comes with all the complications of liver transplantation. And notably, for some of the PFIC syndromes, that type of disease can recur after liver transplantation very rarely.
Her itching continued to get worse. And right around 15 months old is when she had an external diversion surgery in which they created a ostomy, like a way for her bile to drain externally from her abdomen so that it wouldn't build up in her body to help the itching. She went into surgery when she was 15 months old. She came out with an ostomy bag to drain her bile, but she was still itchy. And she was itchy for about another year after that. But over the year, her itching did resolve a bit to the point where her quality of life had improved. But at around age 5, her liver started showing signs that it was failing. And so that's when the transplant discussions started. It was the scariest thing that we've ever been through. We made the choice to transplant her a bit proactively. She wasn't fully in liver failure, so she wasn't listed very high on the list. She was still fairly stable. Her disease was managed, but it was getting worse. And she had maxed out on all of the available treatment for PFIC, so they couldn't offer her anymore. When she received her liver, we saw a picture of the old liver, and it was completely black. And it wasn't until that moment, after her transplant, days after her transplant, where we were able to take a sigh of relief and say, okay, we did the right thing.
Not often do we ask the questions to our patients. If you have a magic treatment, which of your problems would you want to treat, in what order?
Like, I wish there was like a special medicine that could take away the itch, but there isn't.
In my opinion, the bile acids are a key to all of these disorders, so therapies which regulate the dysregulated bile acid homeostasis are likely to benefit many of the patients.